Okay, so let's focus on the directorate and the specific operational pillars that you engage in. What are these strategic pillars?
Let me tell you, and I don't want to speak big English. I'm just going to tell you
You're
in
talking
a
to
very,
young people,
very,
so
yes,
absolutely everyday English.
In a very, very simple
everyday English.
term.
Let's go everyday
Look,
English.
There are 4 pillars
Right.
of the work that we do, and remember, we're speaking women and young people, but we're also speaking gender. Gender says it doesn't necessarily have to be a woman. It could be a man.
Absolutely.
Like we're speaking about positive masculinity
Sure.
and how to involve younger men into this conversation. So I'll come to that. But basically, 4 big pillars.
Right.
Pillar number 1 says, how do we open up spaces for women and young people to be able to engage and for us to unleash their potential? So pillar number 1, open up spaces. Look, since time immemorial, women and young people do not have the same sort of opportunities in accessing, whether it's education, whether it's jobs, leadership positions, representation generally. So this area of our work is really about fighting for inclusion, fighting for parity, fighting for a space that opens up and allows women to compete the same way as the male counterparts. Right. That's space number 1.
Okay.
Pillar number 2 comes from a realization that says, okay, so if we open up the spaces and the spaces are open, what if these women don't have the capacity to compete in these same spaces? So pillar number 2 focuses on capacity development for women and young people. This is where we do quite a number of things, including getting young people into employability skills, building capacity on the AfCFTA, building capacity on this, or even training young entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs. But basically we're saying, you people, we're capacitating you to be able to take advantage of the spaces that we've opened at the policy level. Space number 3 speaks to health and well-being.
Right.
It says, if my mental health is not okay, if my health is not okay, or if I'm in an environment where there's issues with security and peace, or the climate is not conducive, I'm speaking about climate as the weather.
Sure.
None of these 2 spaces matter. If my mental health is not okay, I'm not going to be able to take advantage of these spaces. I'm not going to go for capacity building, or whether the spaces that you've opened in terms of the inclusion and the parity agenda. So that is a space that focuses on programs that deal with health, sexual reproductive health and reproductive rights, peace and security, which is an important area even led by the Department of Peace and Security, as well as our special envoy on women, peace and security. But things around well-being and health. The last and the most important space is a space around voices, the women themselves, the young people themselves. How do we make sure that their voices are influencing all these other spaces? How do we build networks of women and young people so that they speak together in one voice and they define their issues, they define the solutions, and they work with us in these spaces? And they also climb and take them up to advocacy spaces where they speak about their own issues. Basically, nothing for them without them. So those are the 4 big pillars.
So if I'm trying to, I guess I'm trying to let the average young person, listening to you, to understand exactly how does this really connect with them. In every, country, the 55 member states, each country has a ministry for youth, and at the same time a national youth council. Most of them. So I guess I'm trying to understand, what is the connection between your directorate and the member state ministry of youth and the national youth council within the 4 pillars that you've spoken about?
Perfect. So what the AU does, I spoke about this a little bit earlier. We set the agenda.
Sure.
We set the agenda and say that, for example, let me make an example of the Maputo Protocol. It's an agenda, it's a normative framework.
Sure.
The African Youth Charter is an agenda, is a policy, is a normative framework.
Sure.
There's quite a few. There are even strategies. The positive masculinity as a strategy or as an initiative. So, but what it does, it sets a normative framework, and then through our specialized technical committees, which is ministers. For example, this directorate, we do ministers of gender. We meet with ministers of gender annually.
Absolutely.
We meet with ministers of youth. Every 2 years. This is where we take the normative framework, the agenda, to say, honorable ministers, this is the agenda, this is where it matters for young people, and this is where we need to see action. And they come to these meetings to report about progress on each one of these things. And most importantly, we also then work with countries to do experience sharing. If we feel that Ghana is doing well on a particular area, we will bring Swaziland to learn from Ghana, or we'll create forums where the countries can learn from each other. But most specifically for young people, they've came to us at some point and said, yes, policies are good, normative frameworks are good, agendas are good, but we want concrete opportunities. We want you to touch me. I want you to touch me as a young person. This is why His Excellency, the chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, launched the 1 million by 2021 initiative, which has grown to become the 1 million next level, which basically is an initiative that is run by the African Union Commission, working with our member states to bring concrete opportunities to young people on 4 E's and H: education, employment, entrepreneurship, engagement, and health and well-being. It's positioned as a public-private youth partnership that brings everybody to the table to say, let's deliver for young people.